The views expressed in this program are those of the hosts and guests, not Bennett Productions or its broadcasting affiliates.
I've walked in many shoes, from the pulpit to the prison halls, behind the wheel of a big rig, and now as a medical cannabis patient and an advocate for truth. Some of you know me as Yo, the Herbal Trucker, but today I'm stepping in as Yo, the Concerned Citizen. This is Yo Rants Oversized Load, Civics Edition. We're calling out power plays, exposing broken systems, and lifting voices that refuse to be silenced. Passion fuels purpose, purpose activates power, and power, that's how we shift the system. As Kendrick Lamar said, this revolution will be televised, and I'm adding to the channel lineup. This is a revolution in motion. This is Yo Rants Oversized Load, Civics Edition.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Yo Rants Oversized Load, Civics Edition. I'm your host, Yo, the Herbal Trucker, and tonight's convo is gonna be an edition that you're gonna want to see. Because we're getting real about what the heck is a lieutenant governor and what he actually does. But first, before we go back to our guests, I gotta rewind it back to a moment last year during crossover. This is what drew my attention to this particular candidate, and thank you, Aviva, for this content. Check this out. Let me find it. Oh, here it is.
All right, this is the last one. Recognize the senator from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is a cleanup. I ask for your support for amendment number 1.
Senator from the 14th.
Mr. President, thank you. I made a promise to several people today I would impersonate the president of this chamber from the well today, so here it goes. I don't know what we're doing. I mean, this is a good bill, y'all. It's a good bill. I don't know why. I don't know why we want to put an amendment on it. It just don't make any sense to me. But anyway, y'all, we're not trying to ban him. We're not trying to ban Delta 8. Just vote it down. We'll do it again the right way. Thank you. I yield the will.
Did McLaurin do his impression of me right then? I couldn't hear. Is that what he did? All right. Recognize Senator from 13.
Mr. President, I couldn't have said it better myself. Let's go.
All right, here we go. All those in favor, vote yay. If you're opposed to his amendment, vote no. Secretary, unlock the machine.
Gasoline, pretty and cosmic and smart. Gasoline, giving me your
Yeas are 7 and the nays are 47. His motion is defeated.
opening up all our hearts.
All right, this is the last one.
Dang, fellow people. And that's one thing that I can say. I know up under the gold dome, people can take matters seriously, but watching you and how your what appears to be lighthearted approach, how are you able to maintain that? I mean, that's just...
Well, thank you for asking and having me on. So yeah, I'm Josh. I represent North Fulton County in the state senate, running for lieutenant governor. And you got a little sample there of the kind of hijinks every now and then I'll find myself getting into. It's a balance, right? Because some of the work we do, a lot of the work we do is deadly serious. It's everyday people's lives. It's if you are struggling with costs, we just voted on electric bills on Tuesday, had a resounding victory for a couple of the pro-reform candidates, the Democrats. But not just the electric bills going up, but everything, right? Groceries is crazy right now. All these issues that matter to people. We can't make fun of those issues. That's not what we're doing. But what I think does help to move the ball forward when we're trying to build coalitions, build friendships, and work across the aisle is not taking ourselves too seriously. Because if you have too much ego in this work, with anything, any relationship, you have too much ego. If that happens, then you alienate. I don't have to listen to you. And so that breaks down the democratic process when that type of vibe is presented. And so, my thing is, it actually took me 3 or 4 years. I used to be in the state house. I was elected as a state representative in 2018. I flipped a Republican district up in North Fulton and got into the chamber that way. But I was really serious. I used to tweet at people a lot. Like I used to tweet at Brian Kemp and be like, really aggressive. And what I realized was, and I don't know that he read it. I know it made me feel bad to be hostile all the time. And so I've got a comedy background. So I realized 2022, I gave this one speech. And a colleague of mine from Paulding County, he said to me after the speech, because I basically did like a little stand-up routine. And then after I did a little stand-up routine, I made my point. And I made my point to criticize what the Republicans were doing. Well, at the end of the speech, a Paulding County colleague goes, Josh, it was like you brought us in for a big hug and then you shanked us, right? And that really resonated with me, right? Is this idea of like, there's a marriage between friendship and comedy on the one hand, and serious business and real persuasion and argument on the other hand. You gotta really bring both.
You know what? That's one thing that I can say, because I know when I'm there, I'm walking around with my walker and just like, oh my God, the energy is just like totally different. I don't know. I mean, just meeting legislators like you allow me to see that there are real people up under the gold dome. And well, yeah, that doesn't seem to always just want to just be all hard notes. So they have a little life. But anyway, we're gonna move forward. We're gonna move forward to the first segment.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us a little bit about your background, because I kind of did it like ass backwards.
Sure. No, it's all good. We jumped in. Me impersonating somebody from the well.
Oh my God! Yes, because I'm like, okay, now what does a lieutenant go? We'll get to that.
Sure. So
I love it. Yeah. But go ahead.
So my name's Josh McLaurin, and I have been a state legislator for 7 years. Like I said, 4 years in the state house, 3 years in the state senate, and I'm an attorney. I practice civil litigation, which is like it's business fighting essentially. Like people have business disputes, that sort of thing. They go to court. What should I say next? I should say I do have a comedy background. I did a little bit of improv for a while in the city of Atlanta years ago, and I also ran the comedy show at my law school before I got my improv training, which is dangerous, right? You probably want to learn a little bit before you try. The law students are not that funny, so it's kind of like that was a low bar to step over to like run a comedy show at a law school, right? So did that back in 2012. And it's funny, my co-director for that law school comedy show, he's now a state senator in Alaska. So clearly there's some connection with the comedy and politics thing, but we can talk more about that later. But grew up in Cobb County. I was born in Northside Hospital. Went to school in town in Atlanta, and went to UGA for undergrad. Then went to Yale for law school, and I had a roommate we'll probably talk about at some point. But my roommate in law school was JD Vance for the first year. Which, listen, y'all, I didn't know he was going to be like this. He went to Ohio State. I went to University of Georgia. So we thought, oh, we're two state school guys. Like, we'll probably get along. And, for a little bit there, we were all right. But,
yeah,
he's taken a turn. I don't know if y'all noticed.
Just a little. I mean, because it's just kind of like apples and oranges. They're all fruit, like we're all people kind of thing. So you just choose which way you want to be real citric. I couldn't even get it out. But regardless. Right. Yeah. Right. But JD Vance, and also I had an opportunity to witness this year. I think it was one bill that you were proposing. I think it was around February, and you were on the floor discussing federal and state issues. Did you have much backlash from that? I think it was it SB 215 or something like that? Or because I know y'all have like a lot of numbers or something.
Yeah, it's hard to memorize all of it. There's literally thousands of bills. So like a handful of we'll remember, but like we have to be reminded about like what specifically is in the bill. So we'd be like, oh yeah, that one, right? And then talk about it. But yeah, I mean, we talk about a lot of issues. I mean, to your point, like there's state and federal issues that come through the state legislature all the time. So like, for example, if somebody's having trouble with a passport renewal or like certain types of federal benefits, like veterans type benefits, sometimes that's not really for the state government. That's really more like a federal government issue where you got to call John Ossoff or Raphael Warnock or one of your Congress people. But there's federal money that comes through the state budget. In fact, half of the money we spend every year is federal money that just passes through the state, right? So you've got like $30 billion-ish by this point that are state tax revenues and $30 billion or so that are federal tax revenues. And if we legalize cannabis That state number will be higher. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so like there are some federal issues that come through. Another way that federal issues touch the state government is sometimes state legislators want to do things that are not constitutional. So like, for example, there was a ban on trans healthcare in prisons that passed.
Yeah, I remember.
And, look, anything you think about trans issues, I mean, people have different perspectives on all different types of trans issues, sports, you name it. One in the state or in the country, any of the healthcare, like you can't have a medical illness that goes untreated when you are in prison. That would be unconstitutional because that's cruel, unusual punishment, right? And so if people have gender dysphoria, if they've got a diagnosable medical condition, they've got to get care for it. And all you do at the state level when you ban medical care in prison is you just speed up those lawsuits because they're already suing to get that medical care. And all you're doing is the state is saying, well, now we're saying the quiet part out loud, which is we're never going to give you that care. So that means those people win faster in court. They get their medical care. And then guess what? Taxpayers pay all the legal bills because they had to go to court to sue to get their own medical care, right? And so I was against that bill because I'm like, at the very least, why are we spending $4 million in state money on legal fees, that we shouldn't be having to spend because we're passing unconstitutional legislation? So again, there's one of those intersections where it's like, you can have a state level issue that you think is just Georgia state government, but the federal constitution sometimes prevents, or changes what we're able to do.
Yeah, I get that. I think I have that video right here where the legislators actually walked out. Let me see if this is it.
Welcome back. New developments at the state capitol as Georgia House. Welcome back. New developments at the state capitol as Georgia House Democrats walk out of the chamber right before a vote. Lawmakers were debating Senate Bill 185, a Republican-backed piece of legislation that would bar taxpayer money from being used to pay for certain treatments for state inmates, including gender-affirming care. Well, after a speech by Tanya Miller, a House Democrat, many of her colleagues left the House floor. The bill passed 100-2, with many Democrats staying outside the chamber. Democrats returned to the House chamber shortly afterwards, but not before accusing Republicans of wasting time on issues they say are not important to Georgians. Republicans.
Yeah, so that's something different that we did witness this year, since we know that the Senate and the House, well, both are majority Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the same bill, right? And so the House and the Senate Democrats did two different things on the bill. So the Senate Democrats, we stayed and we debated it, and then we voted no, right? Or a lot of us voted no. The House Democrats did a different approach. They did a walkout so they could do a press conference and talk about how much of a waste of time this was. And I think both approaches made some sense, just in different ways. Like we wanted to debate the merits of the bill and explain why it was a bad idea, just like kind of the same arguments I made a minute ago. But then the House Democrats wanted to make a statement about how we were wasting time. And to give a little perspective, there are probably 3 people in prison in the entire state of Georgia that bill SB 185 changes, their outcomes for, right? Or like they have active lawsuits against the state because they were not getting the medical care that they needed for gender dysphoria in prison. And so again, it's like Republicans want to spend all this time and this legislative, political capital and energy debating an issue that it only affects maybe 3 people in the entire state of Georgia. So like there's been a kind of a narrative in the media in the last year or two, especially after Kamala lost, that was like, oh, Democrats are obsessed with trans issues. No, sir, no, ma'am. Democrats are not the ones bringing this legislation. It's Republicans who are bringing bill after bill after bill about trans people.
Why?
Every issue you can imagine, healthcare, sports, they're taking away state benefits. There's people who identify as trans in the state government as employees, and they've gotten their medical care without incident, hormone therapy, whatever, for like 20 years. Nobody asked questions. Nobody was worried about this. We're talking about like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys were, Britney Spears, early 2000s, right? And nobody's talking about this, but they were getting medical care. So why is it that in 2025, all of a sudden, Republicans are obsessed with passing 1 million pieces of legislation about this issue? You know why? They got nothing else to talk about. And it's easy for them to bully and punch down and pick a vulnerable group of people that can't fight back politically. and just pass bill after bill after bill to throw red meat to their own base to try to get their voters to turn out. But that's a thing in 2026 I want anybody listening to this to look out for, is Republicans are the ones who keep wanting to talk about trans issues. And Democrats are like, we would really love to talk about rising costs. We would really love to talk about quality of life and healthcare and the things that make the world go round. But, you know, we have to keep fighting against these bullying attacks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And since the topic of the show is, what does a lieutenant governor do? I mean, I'm like, I saw your video. I'm